I love my job. But the director changed. He constantly picks on me, pisses me off, says what a bad worker I am, can humiliate me in front of my subordinates. He recently had a car accident, hit his head, and was in the hospital for a long time. I haven't been so happy at work in a long time. I hate him. I have a cool relationship with my family. It was always annoying how they were nosy about the fact that they were natives of the capital. They were very frightened of my boyfriend, always worried that his poor relatives would come from their own backwoods and do something incomprehensible. Things didn't work out with that guy. I emigrated, got married, had a family, children, a job. What satisfaction I get every time when my husband's parents put away valuable things, when my family comes and we all see each other. I hate riding in elevators with women. If a woman approaches, I either let her pass and wait for the next elevator under her, "Young lady, aren't you coming?" or walk. Sometimes I have to skip 2 or 3 elevator cycles until all the women have passed. But what pisses me off the most is when the doors are already closing and a woman rushes out of nowhere screaming, "Wait, I'm coming with you." I get off the elevator, I walk. Customers are annoying. I work in a pet store. Before leaving after closing the store, I close the doors and clean, but people don't understand it. They shake the doors, pull the door handle, knock, even if there is a sign, "Closed," and the advertising stand is on the door from the inside. Every time I stand there, I look at them and I don't understand, are they stupid or blind? And I won't open and sell, because they'll keep coming till night. They're annoying.
I own my own business. I have everything and more. And I have a secret that no one knows about. Sometimes I put on old clothes and walk through garbage dumps. It feels incredible to be on the other side. Once I even drank some counterfeit alcohol with homeless people. At such moments you especially appreciate your life and wealth.
To go to the reunion, I asked my husband to buy me a simple car. I'm embarrassed to drive an expensive car. Everyone's such a pauper. Married, 4 kids. Everything's fine, we're a happy, good family. At work, a single, handsome dude started courting me. And flowers, and sweets, and dinners for 2 ordered, and invited to restaurants. I, except for thanks and money for lunches back, did not react. Once he could not stand it and offered to leave her husband and live with him, with all the children. I refused. 6 months later the same situation, but with another colleague. 6 months later, with another coworker. I will never leave my husband, I love and adore, but, bitch, how flattering. Self-esteem is at an all-time high.
I'm 25, married 4 years. We used to live in our own town, our mother-in-law was bothering us. Almost a year ago my wife and I moved to another city to live and work. My little one stayed with my mother-in-law, as we first had to settle down in a new place. So she pesters me that she all not enough money, on the little one send every month, and both, and she all not enough. I'm waiting for a vacation to pick up quickly daughter and direct text to send, beloved, mother-in-law wherever far away. I never thought that all the songs and anecdotes about mothers-in-law I will feel on myself.
I have a strange peculiarity. Everything in my life is subject to a certain order. For example, I take a shower only on certain days, I do manicure strictly once a week, I change clothes and underwear one by one, nail polishes are numbered in order, I do my hair approximately as I see on a woman on TV at a certain moment, I wear shoes with heels on a day and without heels on a day, and so on and so forth. Everything would be nothing, but I have sex with my husband strictly every other day. I feel that something is wrong in my life. I found myself in a difficult situation. I have a purse in my hand, tightly stuffed with 5,000 bills, I'm afraid to even count. Inside, in addition to the money, is a driver's license. I picked up the wallet at a bus stop in a dacha village, there were no cameras or witnesses. I don't have difficulties with finances, but I would not refuse to get a considerable amount of money for nothing. On the other hand, contacting the owner or the police could get me in trouble. I don't know what to do. Our family was torn apart by the apartment issue. My grandmother died and left a large 2-room apartment as an inheritance. She had 2 children, my dad and his sister. All were quite friendly. The inheritance is divided into 2 parts. My dad offered to sell the apartment and split the money into 2 parts. My aunt agreed at first, and then she began to press on pity, saying, "I have 3 children, I bring them up alone, it is difficult for me, give up your share, we live quite well, we have our own large apartment. We each have a car." And the auntie had kids with assholes. Auntie lives in a tiny apartment. My father helps her sometimes, gives her money for holidays. But half the cost of the apartment is not bad. She needs a whole one. The aunt whines and asks for everything. She stopped communicating, thinks her father's a crook.
I live with 2 families. With 1 child, and there are no feelings from my side for a long time, but I care and will not abandon a small daughter. With the other feelings and love, joint interests. I can't leave my spouse with a child in my arms. I can't tell her that I've fallen out of love. I agonize about cheating. I'm tortured because I want to be with a new woman all the time. I'm tortured because I never thought I'd be in this situation. I'm seeing a therapist, trying to work up the courage to tell them both what's going on.
I decided never to send birthday greetings to my friends and acquaintances whom I haven't seen or communicated with for a long time. Although I used to think differently and shared my attention with them, maintaining the threads of communication. Not at all to use the services of these people in the future, but to share a ray of my goodness. But one day, I congratulated my once very close person on his birthday on social network, and after a while I received a message that he is not alive. At first, the thought that the page was hacked and wrote untruth prevailed, but then did not let go for a long time. Anxiety. I looked for the phone number of relatives of this man. I called, found out, wept and made a conclusion: call, talk, spend your time communicating with people you care about. I'm tired of fighting with my husband about food. He needs me to cook breakfast, lunch and dinner every day, to make everything fresh. He will go hungry, but he will not eat yesterday's food from the refrigerator, because it is already old pig food. Food just spoils. Even the kids eat the old food quietly, but my husband is showing off. This never used to happen before. It started after my 2nd child was born. I don't work and do everything around the house. I don't bother him with anything. It's fucking annoying. I found out my 16-year-old daughter smokes. No, I didn't scold her, because I was the same at her age. I don't give her money for cigarettes, of course, directly, but I let her smoke near me. Let it better so, than somewhere to run for garages with crazy teenagers. Daughter, from such my decision was mad, but since then, somehow, and communicate with her more began, and she began to share with me everything that bothers her. On the whole, I seem to be wrong about smoking, but on the other hand, I am glad that my daughter has opened up to me in a new way. I never thought my life would be similar to a Mexican soap opera, but still. I always knew that my mom got married 6 months pregnant, nothing out of the ordinary. I'm 28 years old now, have a family, and have accomplished quite a bit in this life. But just today, I found out that my mother did time and came back from prison pregnant, and her friend married her and became my father. 4 years later, he died. And only now I found out that my real father was my mom's other friend, who showed up a couple times the whole time. And she never remarried. I hate people who mind their own business. There is one nasty person at work, so she always just needs to stick her nose into any conversation that is not even close to her, and sit there and reason with a smart look. We, of course, people of culture, try not to escalate, but when she openly begins to tell everyone what they should or should not do, sincerely want to give her a slap in the face. Even to the management, she points out, a couple of times we have already told her to go away, but she still does not stop. It's infuriating.
I was walking once with a girl in the woods. Just at that time I couldn't understand what I felt for her. I liked her, but I didn't like her very much. My heart didn't stop. So at some point she said in a tender voice, "Oh, you have a spider on your back." She took it off carefully, kissed the place where it was sitting, and blew it off her hand. You see, without any yelling or tantrums, without jumping on my neck and squealing, "Get him off, get him off." That's when I had my epiphany. We've been together 4 years, the kid's a year old.
I had a boyfriend who was aroused by sex when I was busy or already falling asleep. He would come at the most inopportune moments, and rejection only made him more aroused. If I said yes right away, he could just fall over. But at the same time he realized that this is not the norm. According to the agreement, after 3 refusals he left to satisfy himself. Went to a psychologist, but the doctor only taught him to negotiate with me. To cure such a fetish was from his words impossible. Now the ex is happily married to a wild bitch who gives him only on holidays.
At a new job I saw the director's secretary. Slender, austere, with a window behind her back, all glowing in the sun. We got to talking. It turned out she was an orphan. Our boss was a friend of her father. I fell in love until my ears were ringing. I proposed. At first I couldn't sleep well. I woke up and admired her. Then I got better, calmer. And the day before yesterday, the doorbell rang. She usually opens it herself. My heart sank. I didn't expect anyone else. I opened the door and there she was, in tears. I asked what happened, and she could not say anything, crying like a little girl, palms to me, pulls dirty, in abrasions. It turned out that her heel broke. She fell, her knees broke. Again I was disturbed. I couldn't sleep. I was looking at her. When I was about 6 years old, a homeless man tried to steal me and my friend. My friend managed to run away at once, but the homeless man was holding my hand. I was scared and frantically trying to find a way out of the situation, while he was muttering something to himself. I couldn't think of anything and I kicked a bag with things, which he was carrying in his other hand, close to me. The bag tore, the things spilled out on the ground. The homeless man let go of my hand, and I immediately started to run. When I reached the yard, I was still shaking for about 20 minutes. It was really scary.
My mom has me from her second marriage. She got together with her first husband when I was 7. He disliked me because my mom cheated on him with my dad, and I was a constant reminder of that. Shortly after their reunion, he gave me an ultimatum to be moved to my grandmother's house. My mother did just that. She had had enough of her in my life, and grandma lived next door. Lately, my mother has been trying to get closer, repenting and apologizing. I forgave her, but still now, being a mother myself, I don't understand how it was possible to do such a thing. I am a student. I live in a rented apartment with my friend and the landlord. The landlord is a disabled grandfather who is always yelling at us for any reason. One day I wake up in the morning, go to the kitchen to make tea, and I start to eat my eye-sharp smell of urine. I'm puzzled. It turns out my grandfather pissed himself in his sleep. To tell him that we stink, uncomfortable. In the evening, I come from steam, and throughout the apartment there is a smell of shit. My grandfather pissed in a bag and put it in the kitchen. Annoying old drunkard, always yelling, drinking and shitting. We can't move out. I was waiting for my husband from work. He rang the intercom. I opened the front door at once. I was running around the house, and I heard the elevator coming and some noise behind the door. I quietly approach, and it opened sharply, and there is a bald mustachioed head of my neighbor with a loud bassy yell. "Did you steal something?" Oh, my God, my life was almost cut short. I smashed his lip with my hand. Then we sat with my husband and a broken, attentive, good-natured neighbor drinking tea. My husband now calls me a ninja, and I only open the door when I'm sure.
We're having sex at a girl's house. The thing has already come to the final. The girl on her knees gives me a blowjob and tells me to come on my face. And during the very finish comes into the room her mom, who came from work, and we did not even hear. I was hiding my junk at the time, coming at the same time. And Mom was reading something and didn't run away at once. Her dress, pantyhose, and even her hand were covered in semen. My mother-in-law took it with humor and everything got better, but I am still ashamed.
All through high school, I was ashamed of my father's drinking and the poor conditions at home. I couldn't have guests over, couldn't talk about my family. I often lied that we lived alone with my mom or that we were renovating. I grew up secretive, had almost no friends until I was 20. As soon as I left, my mom kicked him out. And just now she told me he wasn't my real father. She just wanted me to grow up with a full family. Thanks, Mom.
All my life I dreamed of moving to another country. I learned the language, studied at school and university, and worked. And now, in 2 days' time, I'm leaving for a new life, but I realize that I absolutely do not want to. It is very sad to leave relatives and friends in Russia. I realize that this will pass, but I would give anything now to avoid moving.
I have 3 men. The first is my ex-husband and the father of my daughter, with whom I sometimes sleep. The second is a big boss. He gives money and calls me when he wants me, but he doesn't need me as a woman, he wants me to have him. I get good money for that. And there is a third one who wants to be with me always, and with whom I also sleep. I don't want to get married. I don't want to leave any of the 3. I've fooled myself and them. In our team at work, there is a female employee who you have to gather your courage to approach. Any question or communication with her can cause her a torrent of bile. The impression that to put down and humiliate, for her it is like breathing. In fact, these are deep complexes. Inappropriate reactions, as if she's the one who's been wronged. But the bitch doesn't even bother to realize it. Let others be the toilet bowl for her streams. It's the ugly ones that make me sick. My mom is the kind of person who believes that if a person refuses to eat something, it means they are not hungry. That's how it was for me. The smell of liver, boiled carrots, and beans has made me sick since childhood. My mother could not prove it. She kept saying that if you want to eat, you will eat like a sweetheart. But I didn't eat. I could sit on bread and tea for days. I'm still disgusted by liver, carrots, and beans. Now my mom is trying to use the same thing on my child, and I won't let her. She takes offense and says I'm an ungrateful bitch.